Do we even need to have sex? The answer is no, and yes. Let's break it down. My name's Hannah, and I've worked with over 1,500 women in long-term relationships to have pleasurable sex and feel connected to their partners. In today's video, I'm going to be answering the questions, why do some of us want sex and some of us don't? Do we even need to have sex? And what can I do if I want sex more? I'll also be busting a huge myth about desire that blew my mind when I first learned it and changed everything for me in my own sex life. So let's get into that first. Here's the thing. Sex drive is a myth. Sex is not a biological drive because a drive is something that an individual human needs to do to survive. Hunger, thirst, and fatigue are drives for food, water, and sleep. No one is going to get sick or die from a lack of sex or orgasms, even if they feel like they are not. So how sex really works is a reward system. That means that in order for us to want sex, it has to be rewarding to us in a way that is meaningful to us. We all have things that we seek to get from sex. Connection, pleasure, orgasms, adventure, validation. These are called sexual motivators. If we get what we're looking for and it feels good, we're rewarded and we naturally want to have sex more. But if we don't get something rewarding out of sex, or even worse, if it's tied to a negative experience, our desire for it will just naturally fade. So if we know our sexual motivators and then have consistent experiences that match those motivations, we'll go back for more. But not all sexual motivators are created equal. Some are more sustainable than others. So here's an example from my story and my experience. Let's rewind a little bit to my early motivations for sex. I remember my first motivation around 13 years old. Back then, I wanted to be close to my partner, yes, but honestly, a big part of that was fear that they would leave if I didn't go along with things. Later on, I got into a pattern of seeking sex to get attention and feel validated and feel like I'd won by being chosen. So here's where that motivation backfired. I'd get into long-term relationships, and as soon as I felt secure, like I'd been chosen, my desire would disappear because once I'd achieved the reward, I wasn't getting anything else out of sex. There was no deeper need that it was fulfilling. When I learned about sexual motivators, I realized this and realized that in order for me to sustainably want sex in a long-term relationship, it needed to have better, more motivating reward for me. Over time, my motivations for sex have shifted to a desire for closeness and play and fun and exploration. So when I align my sexual experiences with my partner to always focus on at least one of those elements, I am rewarded and go back for more. Something that's important to note here is that most people don't want just orgasms from partnered sex. If you're someone who puts a lot of pressure on yourself to orgasm, this is your invitation to take the pressure off. Because both you and your partner can probably get off just fine without each other. But there's something else that you can't get from sex by yourself. There's something different available when you enter into that space with your partner that you cannot get when you're alone. And if you focus on that as the goal rather than orgasm, you're going to have way more rewarding experiences with your partner. When I shared this story and concept with my students inside of the Intimacy Accelerator, there were hugely varied answers to the question, what do you want when you want sex? Some women said they wanted closeness and deep intimacy and feeling seen and connected. But one woman had a great question. She said, what if I don't want connection? Is that bad? And here's what I shared with her. If you're already feeling connected to your partner outside of sex, then sex might need to bring something different to the table to feel desirable. Maybe you need excitement or novelty or adventure. On the flip side, if you've had a history where connection or intimacy felt overwhelming or negative, then sex might feel more desirable if it offers a different kind of experience, something playful or light or even just physical without the emotional weight. After hearing all of this, the most powerful question to ask yourself is this: what would have to be happening in sex for it to be so good that you would choose it over everything else going on in your life? That's where we really get to the core of what we want out of intimacy. If you don't know where to start, grab your journal because I'm about to list some of the most common sexual motivators. Before I do, if you're enjoying this video so far, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on sex and intimacy. So let's dive into some common sexual motivators because understanding what's really at the root of your desire can completely change the way that you approach intimacy. So here are a few of the most common motivations for sex. Number one is connection, feeling emotionally close to your partner. The next one is validation, feeling chosen, valued, and attractive. The next one is novelty, seeking new experiences or breaking out of routine. The next one is stress relief, using intimacy as a way to decompress and relax. Another one is adventure, adding a playful or thrilling element to sex to make it exciting. Another one is mutual pleasure, enjoying the sensations and the pleasure of sex itself with your partner. And finally, escape, being wrapped up in the moment with your partner, completely separate from the stress of everyday life. Think about which of these resonates the most with you and which also might resonate with your partner, and talk to them about it. You'll learn so much if you just ask each other that question. Now, you might be wondering, okay, now I know what I want from sex, but how do I actually have sex in a way that achieves some of those things? And if you want to answer that question, check out my video, How to Have More Satisfying Sex. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.